placeholder
I remember
in place of the placeholder.
I remember there was a resolution in the 31st, and what was included in the resolution was the platforms of then candidate Barack Obama and then candidate Hillary Clinton that recognized in their platform items that the recognition of war survivors and the compensation was actually part of their platform. And so the fact of the matter is that you that's why Madeline was so convinced to say, this is a placeholder. I will get this done. Just let's get this thing paid. And
now it's all we have.
Now it's all we have. And you're right to say 181 kind of gives us that chicken skin going, oh boy.
Yeah.
Hope this is not the road we're going to. Michael Knight is giving me the round the circle. We're getting to the top here.
By the way, Facebook is up and running, so we're back on.
All right, 6:59. Bob Klitsky, you're handsomer than me, but I'm going to be on for the next couple of hours. Right on. So you're listening to The Point, 6:59. We've got a lot more show to go, and we're going to talk to our Facebook friends and do everything we got to do to make your point, our point, on the point. Going out to commercials now.
You're listening to KUSG Laganya.
A mother and two children found dead Christmas Day. I'm Ann Carrick, Fox News. The investigation continues into what led to the three deaths. Fox's Gernal Scott is live with the latest.
And Suffolk County District Attorney Rachel Rollins says preliminary evidence indicates this tragedy was
very likely a double murder-suicide.
DA Rollins says Erin Pascal and her two children, Allison and Andrew, apparently died from impact off a high level of that garage. Now, while they're still looking at the circumstances, the garage site itself is significant.
The same location as two other separate suicides this year.
The garage is owned by Northeastern University. There is also a possible tie, according to the DA, to an incident at the victim's residence not long before their deaths. That is still being investigated, Ann.
Thank you very much, Gernal. A 14-year-old boy suspected in a fatal stabbing in New York was found and now just released. The chief of detectives tweeting out the news earlier today, but giving very few details. The boy is one of three teens suspected or thought to be involved with the stabbing death of 18-year-old Tessa Majors, a Barnard College freshman. Majors was stabbed to death in Morningside Park near campus on December 11th. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is being accused of sabotaging the Senate impeachment proceeding by Connecticut's senior Senator Richard Blumenthal.
In no trial does the defendant have the say about how the trial is going to be conducted. The defendant doesn't get to set the rules for the trial.
Blumenthal accuses McConnell of saying he will not be impartial and will do the president's bidding. On Sunday, Democrats issued new demands for McConnell to call witnesses who President Trump refused to provide for the House investigation. Republicans argue House Speaker Nancy Pelosi must immediately send articles of impeachment to the Senate. America's listening to Fox News.
The holiday season is here, and it gives us pause to reflect on the abundance of 2019 and to express our gratitude for Guam, the island we call home, and to all Guamanians. Our team here at Security Title is proud of the work we do to support ourselves and our families, to serve and care for our customers, and to give back to our community. May this season of joy and the new year bring happiness, good health, and prosperity to you and yours. Merry Christmas from all of us at Security Title.
What's for breakfast at KFC under $3.95, you ask? What's for breakfast at KFC that's different than the other guys, you ask? KFC's chicken wrap, sausage wrap, the Colonel's chicken congee, chicken fried steak, sausage biscuit and gravy, and biscuit sandwiches made with KFC's original fluffy biscuits. All for under $3.95 and all only at KFC. Plus, with waffles and the Colonel's chicken fried rice, we've got something for everyone.
So visit KFC for breakfast today. It's finger-licking good.
More than 100 volunteers are joining the search for Allison Watterson, who went missing in Oregon.
The command center set us up and give us all the information we needed, and our group just walked the edge of the roads and looked for items or things that might be clues for them.
Watterson got separated from her boyfriend while hiking near North Plains on December 22nd. While it's not a criminal case, the boyfriend was held in a county jail on stolen vehicle charges and a bench warrant for possession of meth. Police are investigating 4 anti-Semitic attacks in a 24-hour period in New York City.
The most serious happening Monday in Midtown Manhattan. A man from Miami arrested after police say he made anti-Semitic remarks and punched a 65-year-old man in the face and then kicked him when he was down. Another attack captured on surveillance video on Christmas Eve in the heavily Jewish neighborhood of Crown Heights in Brooklyn. A 56-year-old man walking down the street approached by a group of at least 4 men. You could see him fall after he's apparently punched in the back of the head. Another man in Crown Heights says someone yelled anti-Semitic slurs and threw a drink at him, and 2 Jewish children were assaulted in Williamsburg. In a statement, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says the state has zero tolerance for bigotry and hate.
Fox's Rick Leventhal. A North Carolina couple gets a fright on Christmas night when they suspect they are not home alone. Fox's Karen McHugh.
Thomas Milam and his wife were awakened by a noise downstairs. The bumping and banging sounds forced them to flee to their closet, where they hid and very quietly phoned 911. Forsyth County sheriffs were quick to respond. They soon found the source of the sound. It was Harry, the couple's brand new robot vacuum.
They asked me how long I had it, and I said about 2 days, and they all just started laughing.
Perhaps better safe than sorry. Markets end the day up, the Dow picking up 106. I'm Ann Carrick, and this is Fox News.
Chili's 2 for $25 is back. Start with an appetizer to share. Then choose 2 entrees like our mouth-watering Old Timer with cheeseburger or the Cajun chicken pasta, grilled chicken with penne and Alfredo sauce, and chili spices. Feeling extra? Upgrade to a personal fajita or our famous half-rack ribs. Bring a friend or a date to Chili's and get 2 entrees for $25. Located on the 2nd floor of Tumon Sands Plaza. Chili's. More life happens here.
Make wish lists come true this holiday season with Coast 360. For a limited time, get 1% off your personal loan rate when you apply by December 31st, 2019. Loans up to $50,000 with flexible terms and no application fees. Apply online or at any member center. Terms and conditions apply. See print ad or coast360fcu.com for details. May your holidays be merry and bright with Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
And good morning, Guam. It's 7:06. I'm Ana Silva Tyron, and here are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. The Chamorro Land Trust Commission has approved a settlement term sheet in its lawsuit with the federal government. The U.S. Department of Justice sued the CLTC in 2017, alleging violation of the Fair Housing Act, among other things. In a news release, the CLTC stated at stake was the entire program of the Chamorro Land Trust. Chairwoman Pika Farron said, once the final agreement is agreed on by the DOJ and the CLTC, it'll go to the governor for her signature. Now, Farron says the terms preserve the CLTC program, including current leaseholders. It also expands the definition of the eligible land trust beneficiaries to all those who owned, farmed, ranched, or occupied land or descendants thereof that was taken by the federal government between 1898 and 1968. The terms also include a new provision that allows land trust leaseholders to designate their spouse of 7 or more years who would otherwise not be an eligible land trust leaseholder to receive a life estate for their home on the land trust property. The Consolidated Commission on Utilities failed to comply with the open government law and violated laws prohibiting bonus pay when it used pay raises to unclassified individuals. That's according to the latest audit from the OPA. Moreover, the CCU failed to conduct formal performance evaluations for general managers of the Guam Power Authority, the Guam Waterworks Authority, who received pay increments and bonuses between fiscal years 2015 and 2019. That's according to the OPA. Because it had limited access to employee personnel information, the OPA also referred a hiring matter to the Office of the Attorney General after it couldn't find proper documents to support the employment of the former GWA Chief Financial Officer, who was paid $1.3 million from 2008 to 2018. The Guam Daily Post has reported on recent pay raises and bonuses for GPA and GWA management, which were ultimately determined to have been illegally discussed in secret meetings. The salary adjustments media reported on were discussed in executive session and approved on November 2018, but the OPA went further, auditing executive sessions from October 2014 through September 2019. Auditors also found that the salary levels of certain GPA and GWA unclassified employees were inconsistent with the CCU authorized pay range, and certain unclassified employees were paid higher than other personnel. Elsewhere in your news, an additional 13 child sex abuse lawsuits against the Boy Scouts of America have been settled and approved by the District Court of Guam. Attorney Mike Berman negotiated settlements for 57 of his clients' cases against the Scouts organization. Previously, the court had approved settlements for 44 cases against the Boy Scouts filed by Berman's clients. Berman says those settlements, which are confidential, have been already paid out. On December 24th, the court approved another 13 cases, and the settlement payments are anticipated in a timely manner. Berman has one more Boy Scout case that is pending, and a settlement letter has been sent, but is still pending acceptance and the court's approval. The settlements are the product of mediation sessions conducted by the Ninth Circuit Mediation Office. We'll have more news after this.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo, 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Hafa Tritons, this is Chelsea St-Nicholas, president of the UOG Alumni Association. I made some of the best memories during my time as a Triton. Because of this, I have committed to giving back to the G is for Giving campaign, which will help student scholarships, programs, and activities. And I encourage you all to do the same. To make a tax-deductible donation, log on to give.uog.edu by December 31st or call 735-2957.
Viva UOG!
Former Department of Corrections officer Jeffrey Limo and Jerry Hokog were spared from having to spend another day in prison after they were given suspended sentences in connection with a major contraband scheme at DOC. Both appeared before the judge yesterday. Limo had spent a day in custody in a training room at the DOC director's office back in 2017. The former lieutenant and head of the prison's internal affairs team was given a one-year suspended prison sentence with credit for time already served. Back in August, Limo pleaded guilty to official misconduct charges, criminal charges against Limo that stem from alleged bribery and being offered money in exchange for the release or transfer of inmates who were dismissed for his cooperation and guilty plea. He was placed on unsupervised probation and will have to cooperate as a witness against co-defendant Liana Cabrera. It was said in court that Cabrera hasn't been located, and the judge has since issued a warrant for her arrest. Meanwhile, Jerry Hokog, who has also pleaded guilty to official conduct charges, appeared beside his attorney yesterday. The charge of conspiracy to promote major prison contraband was dismissed. Former DOC officer Edward Crisostomo was also expected to be sentenced yesterday, but his hearing was delayed because the prosecution hasn't filed required documents. Crisostomo also pleaded guilty to receiving bribes and possession of a Schedule II controlled substance. He's currently serving 1 year in home detention after admitting to being a drug user in possession of a firearm in the district court. The federal case is linked to this contraband investigation. He faces 0 to 5 years in prison. Crisostomo will be back in court at the beginning of the year. Also, Ray Hokog he pleaded guilty to criminal facilitation in connection to this case. He's had his sentencing delayed until next year. He still needs to be drug tested according to court documents. And co-defendant Ronald Meno, who has since pleaded guilty to 2 counts of giving bribes, will have to wait as well till next year for his sentencing. Meanwhile, inmate Bruno Simmons, also tied to the same case, had his sentencing hearing yesterday. In his part, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison with credit for time already served. It was back in 2018 that he pleaded guilty to conspiracy to deliver a Schedule 2 controlled substance, and conspiracy to give bribes. It was said in court that he could be eligible to be released from prison in about 4 months. Prior to this, Simmons had just completed a 15-year prison sentence in April in connection to a 2003 robbery. We'll have more news after this. Oh, no more news after this. It's now time for your weather.
The news is that Duke, Sky Talker, and I are up. Facebook is up. And so we're going to do the expanded weather report here. So for the summary today, expect lots of sunshine and a slight chance of showers. Winds will increase through the weekend, becoming breezy on Sunday. There is an alert, a risk of rip currents through 7 a.m. next Thursday along east-facing reefs. Please be careful when you're along those east-facing reefs because rip currents are very dangerous. Stay away from that area. The forecast then will be partly cloudy with isolated showers through the weekend. East and northeast winds 10 to 15 miles per hour today, becoming 15 to 20 miles per hour on Saturday, and breezy on Sunday at 20 to 25 miles per hour. Highs near 88, lows around 77. Sun rose today at 6:41 and sun will set at 6:01 p.m. And now for the expanded view on weather is Duke Sky Talker.
Yeah, we got things going up, got stuff running here. Let me make sure I can switch this over. Hold on a second. No, see, I can never get this right. But we've got some showers out there. Let me find the internet button. Ray changed these things. Well, let's put it back on you for right now.
Sure.
We do have some things going on, a few showers, mostly down to the south of us right now. And we're trying to get that on the screen, but it's just not working. I'm not sure what's going on with that. So just a few little showers down to the south, no big deal. And really what the big story is right now is just more dry trade wind weather. We have a surge line that's coming on down. It's our first shear line of the year, and that'll come through on Sunday. And that's really what you'll notice on Sunday. We'll have winds slowly increasing through tomorrow, and then, boy, Sunday, things are going to really pick up with winds at about 20 to 25 miles per hour. Normally, these shear lines bring in more rain, but there's just not enough moisture in the atmosphere right now for that to happen. So it'll come through. We'll have a few clouds, maybe a shower or two, but the wind will be the really big deal. Overall, though, it's going to be a great weekend to get out there and do some stuff.
All right. Well, the good thing, Michael, is when you put it on me, basically all you got is sunshine.
That's right. Yeah, I was thinking about wearing my sunglasses. I have them in here next to me.
So yes, my shiny bald head is equivalent of sunshine. So plenty of sunshine, folks. We'll see if we can get that that satellite up in the next forecast. But anyways, that's news and weather together here on The Point.
Cocoa Coffee Company is now available at Circle K. Single origin coffee beans, carefully sourced and locally roasted to give you the freshest cup of coffee Guam has to offer. Grab a cup that's brewed every 30 minutes or purchase a bag of the locally roasted whole beans. Flavors now serving: light medium roasted Ethiopia and medium dark roasted Jamaican Blue Mountain. Exclusively available at Circle K. With every Cocoa Coffee Company purchase, a portion of the proceeds will go towards the Cocoa Recovery Program.
The Ray Gibson Show is brought to you in part by American President Lines, a global presence with a local home. Also brought to you by American WaterTech from now through the end of the decade. You were supposed to help me out there.
What is it?
I surprised her. But now through December 31st, you can save almost $900 on a complete Kinetico non-electric reverse osmosis drinking water system for your home. That is a mouthful. Call American WaterTech at 649-2301 to find out more. American WaterTech, a passion for improving lives through better water. Also brought to you in part by GRMC, the first choice for all your specialty care needs. And finally, come party with us at Kento's on New Year's Eve as we ring in 2020 and Kento's 10th year anniversary celebration. We'll have live performances by Instajam and Super Club and music by DJ Daryl Lazama and Ryan the Mixologist. General admission, $20. That gives you 2 drinks and an appetizer. There's going to be a champagne toast and a $500 balloon drop. Yeah, that's going to be nice. That's going to happen at midnight. So don't miss it, December 31st, Kento's at the Hyatt for our New Year's Eve party.
News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out. The Ray Gibson Show.
Alpha Day, and welcome back to the Ray Gibson Show. This is Chris Duenas sitting in for Ray. Man, I'm glad Jerry's here. There's an adult in the room now.
Hey,
You said shiny bald head, and I said I better get in there.
Oh, welcome, Jerry. Let me get through a little
Morning,
infrastructure
Chris. How are you?
here. So glad to see you, man. I tell you what, you're always especially this morning. You're a sight for sore eyes. So, anyways,
Place is friendlier when Chris is here.
Yeah, exactly.
I never get this
There was
kind
no
of greeting
growling
when
this morning.
Ray is here.
When I came in this morning, there was no.
Yes.
Ray growls.
When Ray's here, he says, "Yeah, what do you got this morning? What's up?
Where's my extra point?" Anyways, since we didn't have Facebook, I'm going to get to the market report in just a little bit. But since we didn't have Facebook, I wanted to go ahead and earlier in the 7 o'clock hour, I wanted to recognize. Can we just get the jingle, please?
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name.
Welcome, Facebookers. I'm going to go through comments in a little while. We have quite a bit of infrastructure to do, though. So I thought the best thing that I need to do is make sure we take care of our top 10. Coming in the top 10 today at number 1, Rooster. Coming in number 2, Cindy Knutson Guzman. Coming number 3, Maria Carbolito. Coming in number 4, Shelly Gibson, our sister. Coming in 5, Ted Ogwe. And 6, Pam Duvall. Kina Magalzin comes in number 7, James Vega. On number 8, Rico Blancafor makes number 9. Al Batista, you are the lucky number 10. And I always do honorable mention, Dominic Uggan, honorable mention to you. So thank you, Facebookers, for joining us. And I think some of the comments earlier were, "Oh, he's getting point withdrawals." I tell you, Ray has got has hands down has the best social media, most especially Facebook following. Very loyal listeners, very loyal in terms of contributing. And so we thank you for being here. And we'll be talking to you soon, but I'm going to go ahead and do a few things.
I suspect he's actually paying people.
You think that's what he's doing?
Is that where the money goes?
Just my guess, man. I don't know. I'm just.
That's where his money
I don't
goes,
know.
right?
Does he even have any money?
Well, that's why maybe.
That's right. There you go. That's a good point. But all of our loyal listeners, as I come to find out, were with you yesterday. They came out for the eclipse viewing. We saw Tracy and Mike.
I did. And even some of the listeners that I have on the Boss show showed
Yeah,
up
so it's
too,
always nice to
it's
put
kinda
a face to a name. And
is that right?
Well, that's usually the case until you meet me.
So Ray, the famous Ray Gibson, was that the?
Yes, he was.
Oh, he was
There's
definitely
pictures.
out there. Yeah, yeah. He was flanked by security, but he was.
That's what I figured. I was like, man, I don't know. You know, did you make sure that you had security? And I'm sure we drove him down there in the Suburban. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
What do they call that vehicle? The Beast.
It's just the autograph seekers that just the paparazzi and that just goes after him wherever he goes.
Man can't have a beer in peace, can he?
I did.
And all the girls.
All the girls.
Oh.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
it's amazing.
I'm married, so I don't have to worry about that part. My number one girl is at home. Okay. Anyways, all right. So we're gonna go ahead. You know what? Market report. I'm gonna do it on the fly.
There you go.
It's amazing. New record set. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say that, and I'm going to say that Tapas is at 72.92, up about 1.5 points. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn to Jerry because actually my computer bummed out and I got to get my password in there. And then I'll talk a little bit more about it after what we call, famously here, The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts, brought to you by...
It's brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank, where it all starts with yes.
5 days until the end of the decade. We've taken 10 trips around the sun since the last time a year ended with a 0. Today, let's talk about how we might mark this event next on The Extra Point.
When's the last time you looked at your homeowner's insurance?
A homeowner's policy protects much more than just your house. It also protects you against claims from someone being hurt on your property. If a visitor is injured at your place, how much are you covered for? The smart thing to do is get the answer today.
That's the Insurance Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today by calling Guahan Insurance Services at 475-1162 or visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center in Tamuning.
Ever notice how that one perfect holiday gift is just out of reach? Or how sales on the stuff you want all come at the same time? This season, plan ahead with a holiday loan from First Hawaiian Bank. Now you can afford to be nice without being naughty. For more details, visit FHB.com or any branch to apply. Additional restrictions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
It's human nature to shine a little extra light on the last 10 years, looking back to 2010. Did we make the kind of progress we'd hoped? Are we okay with the past decade and what we made of it? Is there anything wrong with looking back and judging, even if it's just a little? Well, seeing as though yesterday I mentioned that one of the 13 things that mentally strong people don't do is live in the past, could I say, sure, go ahead. Spend all the time you want going over the last 10 years and render a decision on how you did and where you are as a result. Well, here's the risk. It's too easy to get lost in the coulda, woulda, shoulda game and find ourselves standing on a pile of regrets. Another downside is the natural inclination to compare our life to others. Maybe 10 years ago, you were working in the same job with friends, and now a couple of them have been promoted or have started their own business, and they're doing great. Those kinds of comparisons often lead to sadness and envy. So let's do a collective exercise. Wherever you are right now, in the bathroom, at the breakfast table, in traffic, already on the job, repeat after me out loud, or just in your mind if you're a little bit shy. Repeat after me. I accept these past 10 years. There were many good times. I could have done better. I learned from my mistakes, and they made me stronger. I'm glad for what I know. I'm glad for who I know. I'm grateful for the blessings in my life, and I can't wait for what's ahead. I hope you took part in the exercise. It wasn't just something to say. It's a framework for how to look back at the last 10 years, and that was my intent. Accept what is, because you can't change what happened. Recall the joy from your victories and have respect for any losses and mistakes. Joy again as you recall what you learned and how you changed and became stronger. Then get up to your eyeballs in gratitude for what you have, what you know, the people in your life, and count your blessings. Then count them again. After that, put in the last 10 years and put those last 10 years into the archives and turn your attention to what's coming. In the next few days, think about what you'd like to be looking back on 10 years from now when 2029 rolls over to 2030. What do you want to be saying about the decade just passed? The only reason to ever look back is to be able to have a clearer picture and more well-defined path to the future. You're the architect of your dreams. What are you going to build? Set a vision for what you want. Chart goals and create the steps, even baby steps, on how to get there. When you achieve an objective, reset the bar a little higher and go again. I'm not just spouting philosophy. I'm right there with you. For what I want and where I want to be in 2030, and for what I want for my family, I need to be far better than I am now. I'm setting my goals too. The last 10 years brought us to the doorstep of the next 10. Accept what and where you are. Then get on with where you're headed. That's the extra point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, The Ray Gibson Show, Guahan Insurance Services, and First Hawaiian Bank. I'm Jerry Roberts.
Excellent extra point. You know, Jerry, you pulled out of one of my program elements today, and I wanted to share a quote with you that a mentor of mine gave me. It's along those lines. The only true way to fail in our country, Guam/the USA, is to give up. There is always opportunity. And so it follows to me with regard to just whatever's in the past, whatever's gone, you can't change it. Going forward, the 10 years are gone. You know, celebrate the success. You know, don't worry about the mistakes, move forward. But I love this quote. The only way to ever fail is just to give up.
That's right. That is perfectly right.
And that's the extra point with Jerry Roberts.
Very cool.
Now.
Yep, time for headlines.
7:27.
Yep, 7:27. And headlines this half hour brought to you by Lolita Cammett of Remax Diamond Realty. For all your real estate needs, call Lolita at 688-6743. That's 688-6743. Now with headlines, here's Mana Silvatira.
The Chamorro Land Trust Commission has approved a settlement term sheet in its lawsuit with the federal government. The U.S. DOJ sued the CLTC alleging violation of the Fair Housing Act, among other things. The settlement term sheet achieves several things, but most importantly, it preserves the CLTC program, including current leaseholders. The OPA out with its audit findings on the CCU pay raises at GWA and GPA, and it says the Consolidated Commission on Utilities failed to comply with the open government law and violated laws prohibiting bonus pay when it issued pay raises to unclassified individuals. The raises to senior leaders at the autonomous agencies, much of which has already been rescinded. An additional 13 child sex abuse lawsuits against the Boy Scouts of America have been settled and approved by the district court. Attorney Mike Berman negotiating settlements for 57 of his clients' cases against the Scouts organization. Previously, the court approved 40 settlements for 44 cases against the Boy Scouts filed by Berman. Berman says these settlements, which are confidential, have been paid out already. And those are some of your headlines from the Guam Daily Post. For more on these stories, pick up a copy of the paper or log on to their website at postguam.com.
News time on the point is 7:29.
That's iConnect time. There's an iConnect store near you or online at iConnectGuam.com. Ask them about great plans they've got for your mobile internet. And if you're in business, definitely ask about push-to-talk plans.
Lolita Cabot from RE/MAX Diamond Realty, a friendly, hardworking, and passionate RE/MAX professional, is committed to helping you make a difference in your life and to helping you achieve the American dream of home ownership. She also specializes in commercial leasing, land sales, local residential sales leasing, and military and corporate relocation. So for all your real estate needs, call Lolita Cabot from RE/MAX Diamond Realty at 688-6743. That's 688-6743.
Off a day and welcome to the traffic report on the point. I tell you what, it definitely is a holiday week, and traffic is just light everywhere. Looks like Beargot has still got a little bit of congestion at the tri-intersection. It looks like over by Revan Tax on that route, I believe that's Route 16, going south towards Dedido, or north towards Dedido, excuse me, is kind of backed up there. Nowhere around the schools because there is no school. Looks like in Naganya, maybe at the loop, a little bit of traffic there, mainly going into the loop, maybe from Route 4. And that's really about it. If you need to go somewhere today, get in the shower, get your clothes on, and head on out because there is no traffic. And that's the traffic report on the point.
Want to grow your business? Start a new venture? Or stay ahead of the competition? You can. With Docomo Pacific Smart Business Solutions tailored to your specific needs and ambitions, you can do it all. Partner with a network with best-in-class network coverage, state-of-the-art communication platforms, and a team dedicated to providing you with premium support. Call 688-2677 to start your journey to success today. Docomo Pacific Business, delivering your future today.
Welcome back to the Ray Gibson Show. This is Chris Duenas sitting in for Ray Gibson, and I needed that calming music. Unlike Ray, I want Christmas music all the way through the entire time that I'm here. And you know what? Another thing that I don't know if this will be a calming call, but it definitely I remember him from the last time I was hosting the show. If this is the same gentleman, and so I'm going to go to him now. I want to make sure I don't mess this up. I pushed the bottom line, right? This one? Half a day, Pete. Welcome aboard.
Half a day. How's it going?
It's okay. I'm a little rusty. I'm getting my sea legs here, but I'm sure glad you called.
Yeah. Hey, have you thought about or read about the proposed settlement agreement with the Chamorro Land Trust?
I did. In fact, Pete, we were talking about that. That was basically at least half of the first hour. And what are your thoughts?
Sorry. Well, it sounds to me it's going to be more like akin to the Chieftain landowners, right, that got their land back, but it's going to be a little bit more broader. So, like, my grandparents are both from Sumay, so I would definitely be able to do that. But what about people that like are from Inarajan or Mauricio that never got displaced by condemnation? So it seems like this is a land restoration. It's in the spirit of land restoration, sort of like I said, akin to the Titan landowners. I have a feeling that this might knock out a bunch of folks.
No, Peter, that's not my reading, and the reason why. And let me grab the paper here. In fact, I'm going to talk to my good friend Mike Phillips about this in just a little bit. But the reason why I don't think that's the case here is just because of the first point. It says preserve the land trust program intact, including current leases. My understanding of that provision, which is demonstrate that the land trust is a land restoration program meant to rectify the unjust taking of Chamorro homelands by the U.S. government between 1898 and 1968, is basically, this is one of the tenets of the settlement that basically establishes the land trust, meaning that it's not, it removes, from what I understand, some of the argument about discrimination. Because the fact of the matter is, the reason why the land trust is in existence and was enacted was particularly to basically rectify the unjust taking of Chamorro homeland. So I don't think that this sets the eligibility criteria that already exists, but it just basically is the language that is put in the settlement that basically says this is why this program is in place and that it's not discriminatory.
Oh, so they just changed the language, but coming out with the same result.
Well, I'll tell you what, and we'll see. We'll see what some of the opinions might be. But the fact of the matter is, and like I said when we talked to Mike and others, but the fact of the matter is that the way I see this is, if you look at the definition of the eligible voting to be able to apply for to get on the registry for the Chamorro only vote, it has a similar criteria where it marks a point in time as to which defines the Chamorro or the indigenous person. So if you really look at it, the language is kind of similar, and it seems to me that that's how you really work, or not when I say work around, that's how you demonstrate that this is not necessarily creating a class, but creating a time certain to where those Chamorros identified during that time have the right to be able to receive the recompense and have the right for self-determination to demonstrate what they believe.
Okay, I guess I'm just trying to figure out what is the correct interpretation of who is to be restored in the land restoration.
Yeah, so if
it could be read both ways, I guess. Listening to what you're saying, it could be read that, it's for those who were actually displaced, which we can trace those folks, or is it just for everyone who was on Guam during that time? Because like I said, if you were in Mauricio or in Arahan, they weren't displaced.
Well, I think that number one, just a simple reading, I don't have a law degree, but the simple reading of the number one point of the 4 points in the settlement agreement says, preserve the land trust program intact, including current leases. So I don't think anything about the program and current eligibility. In fact, this is codifying. It would change. As a matter of fact, I want to expand a little bit more, if you would let me, Pete. If you look at the third point, it kind of works off of the second point, which is expand the definition of eligible land trust beneficiaries to all those who own land, farmed, ranched, or occupied land taken by the federal government between 1898 and 1968. So that once again says it's not a discrimination in terms of identifying a particular class of folks. It is those who were on Guam, those who were displaced, because the lands that were taken were more than likely, and I'm sure, being farmed, ranched, occupied, for their domicile, or however, between those years, for whatever the land was used for. It basically, it doesn't say Chamorros, it says those who were harmed by that taking of those lands which were used for farming, ranching, and occupation.
So then it's going to be interesting on how they're going to, what offer of proof they're going to have to make when they register.
Well, I think because of number one says the land trust program intact, it would mean that whatever the current eligibility is hasn't changed. So I don't think
Well,
they're going to redefine the beneficiaries. I think they're going to basically it's going to because of the first point that the current leases and the program itself is intact.
Yeah, but I like you said, there are some non-Chamorros that were here and also farming and using the land. So they probably were previously unable to register, but they probably under this new agreement be able to register now.
That could be, and I know that they did. I remember a case, Pete, that was in particular. You may have followed this. There was a case where a land trust recipient and her husband had built a home.
Right, and then the wife died, and then he had to get.
Right.
I think that was poor guidance or misguided when they evicted him.
Well, I think that's why they put this number 4 point. I'm just going on my memory and probably why this is included here. But it says includes the fourth point on the settlement is includes a compassionate provision to allow the land trust leaseholders to designate their spouse of 7 or more years to receive a life estate for their home on land trust property at their spouse's death. And so this language here seems to me like it was put in there to make sure that there's solid language to make sure that dependents who are not eligible for the program but who had been married to that individual for 7 or more years and probably contributed to whatever improvements they put on the property would be eligible to stay.
All right, I'm just looking forward to see how this develops. It could go either way.
Yeah, Pete, I think it'll be interesting. Mana and I were talking about it, and it's going to go to the legislature, obviously, it's going to.
Well, I'm sure they'll approve it in order to preserve the program, but to see the implementation, if there's going to be any difference in the way they move forward, because I think that's actually the intent, right, of this agreement is to sort of modify the implementation a little bit to be more expansive or more inclusive, but the language also sounds like it could be actually more restrictive.
Well, whenever you enter into a settlement, I'm just having seen and read and been part of the legislature when different settlements have been entered into for land disputes and some other issues with regard to, sometimes bills were introduced to settle estates and things that were happening, that needed legislation. Definitely, you're going to, there will be some sort of concession made whenever you use the term settlement and enter into settlements. But let's see what happens when the legislature gets it and see what their thoughts are.
All right, thanks.
Oh,
appreciate the conversation.
Suzos Masi, Pete, and thanks for calling.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, my brother.
Stop.
Shoot. And so, yeah, that's. I'm glad Pete joined us. I always enjoy his calls. I know that Pete generally has a lot of contribution, particularly when it comes to this issue, and he's very passionate about Chamorro rights, and so basically, I enjoy his comments. And now joining us, I know that Ray Gibson calls him "See me get," but I can't do that. I have to say, my good friend, attorney Mike Phillips. Hafadi.
Buenos, Chris. How you doing?
I'm doing
Senator.
good. Thank you for joining us. I've been really talking a lot about this settlement agreement that's been in the news. It was breaking news yesterday in the afternoon, and I remember a couple of months back, you and Ray Gibson had gone over discussions on this potential settlement, and I remember at the time you discussed that you weren't going to discuss the terms of the settlement because the CLTC hadn't convened their meeting and adopted and voted in favor of the terms of the settlement agreement. But now that it's out, we wanted to give you a call and just basically get your thoughts on your feelings on this settlement agreement. And now that the terms are out and it's final and eventual movement to the legislature?
Sure. More than anything, Senator, I think the fact that the program remains intact, and in fact, and if you like, maybe we can go over some of the details. In my opinion, it expands the number of beneficiaries that that will be eligible now for land and for leases. It's also significant that the district court, in its initial ruling, talked about what the court referred to as land restoration, and made it very clear that if that was what the program was about, then the district court, could see not invalidating the program because it's something that could be allowed. And so we continued down that path, and with good faith negotiations, I think by both parties, we're able to reach an agreement where certain amendments would be made. The focus would be on land restoration, but on Team Guam's side, we were able to reach what we believe was a very favorable agreement to allow for, instead of the strict land ownership concept, it would be land use rights.
Right.
And so that's really what was going on in Guam back then. Many people either did not own land in the strict commercial Western sense, but did have land use rights, and that's really what the Chamorro Land Trust is about. You don't own the land, but you definitely have land use rights, and so there's a qualification there that expands what otherwise would be limited to land restoration. Secondly, and in no order, some of the major points that come to mind would be it now does justice to the many people from Guam that received their citizenship by other than the Organic Act. Many Chamorros, especially, were in the military,
yes,
and they received their citizenship that way. And I've pointed out to many people they've never complained, but they were actually excluded from being recipients under the Chamorro Land Trust Act, and that was really unfair. And there are others that lost their land because now we've expanded the dates all the way back to 1898 and as far as recent as 1968, and it recognizes the fact that there was that acquisition of land by the United States, continuously and in many different ways, and our history is fairly well documented with regard to that topic. And we're not a written people, as we say, right? But with regard to the land takings, there's a really deep, rich history that is documented about everything that went on. But that is, in my opinion, at least, it's recognized now because of the fact that both sides agree that makes all of those individuals eligible.
It's interesting, Mike, as you say that we're not only not a written people for purposes of some of that history, but we also didn't do land transactions in the form of leases or agreements.
No,
I mean, basically, our land was used for free,
not.
right?
Yeah, absolutely not. And again, it's recognition of that practice, and I think it's significant that the United States acknowledges it, and in this sense, at least, I don't think that the attorneys in the court are speaking for the country, but they're definitely speaking for the government and the Justice Department, and I think it's very fundamental and profound that they reviewed, what we were able to submit to prove this. That's exactly what our people were doing back then, and it wasn't a buy and sell type of community. It was one of culture and practice, and that was the practice. So, in summary, when land was taken from a true owner in the Western sense, he had a deed maybe and bought it. It didn't only harm that person, but it harmed relatives that may have been staying there. It harmed people that were farming his land because people customarily allowed others to farm their land without charging rent, without paying taxes. It wasn't a sharecropping kind of thing where they got a percentage. All kinds of different things may have gone on, but the point is that the most common practice was allowing others to use property for farming. And whether you were residing on property, farming, ranching, any of those, and there might be more. I'm sorry, I don't have the agreement in front of me. That would allow the descendants of all of those people, and anyone who is still alive today that was doing that. It allows them to be a beneficiary now of the Chamorro Land Trust properties.
Sure, yeah. So it's farmed, ranched, and occupied. And I'm sure by occupied it was some sort of domicile, some sort of shelter, some sort of, something to where they raised their children and had their the place where their family stayed. One interesting thing Mana and I were talking about earlier, Mike, was when I was at the Guam Housing Corporation, it did seem like there was even a disconnect within the federal government itself. I don't know if this was ever part of any argument or discussion, maybe during some of the discussion, but it actually for VA home loans, you have to be the recipient. You have to actually be the recipient of the program, and that's mandated in order having to be a veteran, having to qualify for the loan, but also having to qualify under the land trust terms for them to do financing, because we all know Chamorro Land Trust is not fee simple property, so it's very tricky when it comes to financing and putting a suitable structure on there. So you had the federal government kind of talking, having two different positions on this issue.
Yeah, no, and that was not discussed much, but it was obviously brought up. At least I remember that, because for the same reasons I think you do, that it's kind of ironic that you would have them taking an official position contrary to another official position they've taken earlier. And it's not the first time. I remember when I actually, on behalf of the late Senator Angel Santos and the Nacion Chamorro, when I brought this case, I believe it was 1992. The federal laws at that time already contained provisions recognizing indigenous cultures and indigenous practices and things like that. And of course, it's very common when you take on a case like this for anybody that has any personal experience or any knowledge that might be helpful to send it to you. And so a number of people were very quickly sending me statutes and things like that they knew were out there that showed that no, this is something that's been recognized in one way or another by the federal government, by Congress in the past. And of course, when you go into court, everything becomes arguable. Everything then is just, that's what it could say. But fortunately, and that's one of the benefits of settlement, is you don't test the judge. Even though we all think we know which way a judge may be going, you put a program like the Chamorro Land Trust program at risk, and you're wrong, then you owe a whole bunch of people an explanation.
I was kind of saying that
we didn't want to do here.
I was kind of saying that to Pete, and I don't know if you had a chance to follow some of that conversation, but I think we ended up.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so one of the concerns of one of our callers who really follows this was he actually thought that that it may exclude, and I said no. I think the number one point really solidifies the fact that the land trust program is intact, including current leases. One other thing, one time I was having a sort of in one of my board meetings I had when we were talking about the financing, and I had one of our members say, well, doesn't it make sense though? Of course, a person who's going to take out a loan would have to be a lease recipient. But my point was not necessarily, because if you see in the fourth point, and I think this was, I hope this was done to correct a situation that was kind of, a lot of us didn't care for when a non-eligible recipient was a survivor, and the actual individual who was eligible passed away, and then the individual had to vacate the premises. And I think the number 4 point kind of takes care of that. Am I on the right track?
Yes, I believe it does. But I wouldn't say that was the purpose. That was just a concern that was shared by more than one party. That's for sure. Yeah.
And my point to the board was sometimes the eligible individual is eligible, but maybe they don't have enough income to service financing. So it actually, it may be co-signers to a loan, or sometimes the maker of the loan, would be an individual that actually had more resources to be able to service the financing. So I can see where when meeting the requirement, this actually could make a family whole. Mike, I don't know how much you can talk about this, but I've made the parallel. I don't know if it's right. I don't know if it's sets any kind of precedence for an argument or the like. But it seems to me that there's an interesting juxtaposition and kind of a interesting point in how under point number 2, the time certain of the 1898 to 1968 seems to almost speak to the eligibility role for being able to sign up to be part of the registry, to be able to vote in the plebiscite. It's, of course, it's not verbatim language or the like, but it certainly has some of the same connotation the way I read it. Do you see any parallels there?
There's parallels, but no, it's not. It's not anything that I think, quite frankly, could even be argued to be the same. What it does, though, and where people might realize that our history actually with the United States is very short. It's just since 1898.
Right.
And so you're covering most of the history right there. So when you go, hey, this seems to fit with that, well, it does, of course, because that's the United States history on Guam. It's they talk about the Constitution and the United States being an experiment and a relatively new one. Well, they're the control of Guam and the presence here and everything that's been going on here before and after the Organic Act is very new. Pre-Organic Act is just a little bit over 50 years, and post-Organic Act is what, just a little bit over 50 years. So when you think about it that way, it's a very new experience. When you're referring to something historically, 50 years is pretty new, and that's really all it is the United States first came to Guam in 1898, so that's the relevant portion there. The reason that's covered in the plebiscite definition is because that's when the United States came, 1898. But it was the United States that came up with that definition, not the people of Guam. The United States is the one that came up with the definition of who would be made a citizen. So they traced it back to 1898. And of course, the second time period would be the 1950 era, because that's when the law was passed. And now that we're dealing with the plebiscite here in 2019 or so, we're referring back to that same time period, the 1950 time period, which refers back to the 1898 period. So that's, I think, why those dates pop up, not because of anything more than that accurately reflects the history of the relationship between the United States and the people of Guam.
Sure, and I guess maybe the parallel that I was drawing to is that it seems to lend itself to the fact that it's not discriminatory. It's the will of the governed, because they were the ones who were there at the time.
Oh yeah, it's a people thing. Yeah, the people that were here. If quite frankly, and I don't mean to be facetious about this, Senator, but if Martians were found here, then the Martians would have been the ones that were made citizens, and it's nothing to do with an intended. I know there's no indication in the records of Congress that they intended to favor a certain race. They clearly didn't do that. And when they came to Guam, I'm talking about 1950 now, when they made the people of Guam, the native inhabitants, they made them citizens. There was no intent by Congress to favor a certain race. When the United States came in 1898, they didn't go out looking for Chamorros. They received Guam as a conquest through treaty. So there's clearly no intent to refer to or to own a certain individual race. That's not the intent at all. And likewise, when you're correcting that unfortunate gap in self-determination, and you're referring to the exact same people, well, they all happen to be not all, interestingly, but a large portion of them happen to be of the same race. Well, of course, because those are the people that were here.
Right.
I mean, if you refer to Native Americans in a generic sense, because to some extent, like Chamorros, there's different for lack of a better phrase, bloodlines maybe.
Right.
That you refer to them in the generic sense. Well, at a certain point, any laws that come up to benefit those that were there when the people from Europe came over and conquered, or I guess they call it discovered, right? Discovered America.
Yeah.
Then it would be racist. It's not racist. Those are the people that were there. And
Right.
just like war reparations, I think it may be an easier example for people to understand. There's nothing racist about war reparations, and I haven't heard that one yet. And I'm hoping Mr. Davis or others don't sue based on the fact that they think now that, hey, we can make an argument it's racist because 99% of the people that benefit from that happen to be Chamorro.
Right.
They're not passing that law because they're Chamorro. They're not trying to give Chamorros war reparations. What they're trying to do is to give reparations to those people that are entitled to it because they were here and they suffered.
Very insightful. Attorney Mike Phillips, he took me to the top of the hour and very, very great comments. I think it's a great day for Guam, and I think the settlement agreement really does a lot for our people. So thanks a lot, and Happy New Year, my friend.
Thank you so much, Senator.
Buenas. Okay.
Yes.
And that'll take us to the top of the hour. You've been listening to The Point, the Ray Gibson Show with Chris Duenas.
You're listening to KUSG Hagåtña.
A mother and two children are found dead on Christmas Day. I'm Ann Carrick, Fox News. Found in a Boston parking garage, investigators say preliminary evidence suggests a double murder-suicide. Suffolk County District Attorney Rachel Rollins.
This Christmas Day tragedy demonstrates the urgency of addressing mental health, suicide, and homicide. We have to do more to address these significant public health issues that impact all of us in Suffolk County.
Northeastern University owns the garage and says they are adding additional security patrols to 3 multi-level parking facilities on campus. 4 people were found shot dead Christmas Day in an Albuquerque, New Mexico suburban home. Police in Rio Rancho not commenting on possible suspects. Rose Verona is a family member of the deceased.
I really don't understand what's going on. All I know is that we're just trying to draw the strength from God, even though we don't understand what's going on.
Verona says her mother and brother found the bodies when they went to check on the family, not having heard from them. Police releasing a statement indicating there are no ongoing threats to the public. A good day on Wall Street, thanks in part to Amazon.
Records across the board, all 3 major averages closing at brand new record highs. The Dow up 106 points, notching its 21st record close this year. The S&P's 34th record close, closing higher by 16 points. And the Nasdaq posting its 10th consecutive record close, up 70 points, climbing above 9,000 for the first time ever. Helping to boost the major averages, Amazon closing higher by 4.5% on news that its holiday shopping season smashed all prior records with billions of items ordered worldwide. This is holiday e-commerce sales jumped a record 18% this season.
Fox's Jerry Willis reporting. Tesla also revving up with another all-time high, closing above $430 per share. America is listening to Fox News.
At the mall, as you enjoy your shopping, dining, or entertainment, you could also win 3 great cars from Atkins Kroll and thousands of prizes in Micronesia Mall's Cars, Prizes, and Getaways game. Present your mall receipts and have a chance to win the renowned performance Chevrolet Camaro, the unapologetic rugged Toyota 4Runner, or the head-turning Lexus ES350 Luxury. Getaways to Manila, courtesy of Philippine Airlines, plus prizes from Foot Locker and Burger King. The more you shop, the more chance to win in Micronesia Mall's Cars, Prizes, and Getaways game.
Begin 2020 in style at Hyatt Regency Guam Resort. Party into the new year with entertainment and beachside views of the Tumon Bay fireworks at the New Year's Eve Countdown Party beginning at 10 p.m. Join the party early at 6 p.m. for Breeze's Dinner Buffet, a Polynesian and fire dance show, and get entry and free-flowing drinks at the New Year's Eve Countdown Party. For information about bottle service options or to make a reservation, please call 647-1234.
The president lashes out at California over homelessness. Fox's Christina Coleman.
President Trump essentially saying enough is enough when it comes to the chronic homelessness crisis in California. This morning, he also blasted House Speaker Nancy Pelosi over this, tweeting, quote, Nancy Pelosi's district in California has rapidly become one of the worst anywhere in the U.S. when it comes to the homeless and crime. It has gotten so bad, so fast, she has lost total control. And along with her equally incompetent governor, Gavin Newsom, it is a very sad sight.
A new report shows the nation's rise in homelessness was caused entirely by the more than 16% increase in homelessness in California. Congress is on break until January 7th, but it doesn't stop President Trump from targeting Democrats about the impeachment process.
President Trump has focused much of his impeachment frustration on House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. In a series of tweets, he has questioned why the House Speaker should be allowed to impeach the president with 0 Republican votes in a perfect call with the leader of Ukraine. President Trump also described Pelosi's San Francisco district as filthy and the worst with homelessness and crime. Pelosi is holding off on sending 2 articles of impeachment charging the president with abuse of power and obstruction of Congress to the Senate until she says it's clear how the Senate will handle the impeachment trial. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
An Arizona girl lost her little brother in a car accident last year. Her mother asked friends to send cards of encouragement to her young daughter because the holidays just don't feel the same.
I just thought what a blessing it would be to extend that to her and uplift her through her pain, especially this time of the year with the holidays.
Police in the Phoenix area responding, letters arriving almost every day from total strangers filled with encouragement and wisdom. I'm Ann Carrick, and this is Fox News.
Yikes, are those Christmas bills coming in already? Those high-interest credit cards at 16, 18, even 24%? Well, we have a New Year's solution for you. A Bank Pacific personal loan with rates as low as 4.65% to pay off those expensive credit cards. It's easy, it's fast, and it's as low as 4.65% APR.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal credit opportunity lender as low as 4.65%. Conditions apply.
Wow, nice smile. So perfect and all.
Thanks. I owe it all to Dr. Robert Yang and his smile team. They do wonders for a healthy, happy mouth.
Got teeth? Don't wait until they hurt. Schedule your routine checkup and cleaning with Dr. Yang and his smile team. Suite 119 in the East West Business Center, Upper Tumon. Call 647-8702 or 3.
The best thing that happened to teeth since toothpaste.
Dr. Yang and his smile team.
They make smiles happen.
Rent, lease. What does Horizon do for you? Here's a clue. Advertising, marketing, screening, inspecting, instructing, leasing and signing, collecting and complying, inquiring and assessing, coordinating, repairing, renewing, enforcing, evicting, moving, cleaning, rekeying, communicating. Do it yourself and you'll find it taxing. We work hard to keep the vacancies low, so at the end of the month, you collect the dough. Proven and trusted. Horizon Properties. We do it all. 777-7792.
Off a day and good morning. It's 8:06. I'm Mana Silva Tyron with some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. The Chamorro Land Trust Commission has approved a settlement term sheet in its lawsuit with the federal government. The U.S. Department of Justice suing the CLTC back in 2017, alleging violation of the Fair Housing Act, among other things. In a news release, the CLTC stated that at stake was the entire program of the Chamorro Land Trust. Commission Chairwoman Pika Farron said that the agreement is the result of months of settlement conference discussions between the DOJ, CLTC, and other local government agencies. She says once the final agreement is agreed on, it will go to the governor for her signature. The settlement accomplishes a number of things. Chief among those is it preserves the CLTC program, including current leaseholders. It also expands the definition of the eligible land trust beneficiaries to all those who owned, farmed, ranched, or occupied land or descendants thereof that was taken by the federal government between 1898 and 1968. The terms also include a new provision that allows land trust leaseholders to designate their spouse of 7 years or more who would otherwise not be eligible land trust leaseholders to receive a life estate for their home on the land trust property. Elsewhere in the news, the Consolidated Commission on Utilities failed to comply with the open government law and violated the laws prohibiting bonus pay when it issued pay raises to unclassified individuals, according to the latest audit from the Office of the Public Accountability. Moreover, the CCU failed to conduct formal performance evaluations for general managers of the Guam Power Authority and Guam Waterworks Authority, who received pay increments and bonuses between fiscal years 2015 and 2019. Because it had limited access to employee personal information, the OPA also referred a hiring matter to the Office of the Attorney General after it couldn't find proper documents to support the employment of the former GWA Chief Financial Officer, who was apparently paid $1.3 million between 2008 and 2018. The Guam Daily Post has reported on recent pay raises and bonuses for GWA and GPA management, which were ultimately determined to have been illegally discussed in secret. The salary adjustments reportedly were discussed in executive session and approved in November 2018. Auditors also found that the salary levels of certain GPA and GWA unclassified employees were inconsistent with the CCU authorized pay range, and certain unclassified employees were paid higher than other personnel. We'll have more news after this.
GRMC's cardiology department treats most complex heart problems. In our catheterization lab, cardiologists use imaging equipment to treat clogged arteries that can cause heart attacks or heart failure. We perform balloon angioplasty, stenting, and other life-saving cardiac procedures. If you suffer from a heart condition, have your provider refer you to GRMC's cardiology clinic at 645-5500. GRMC, where patients are partners.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo, 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Police are investigating the Christmas Day break-in at the Salvation Army thrift store in Tamuning. Thousands of dollars in donated items were stolen. An employee noticed the store was burglarized when they arrived yesterday morning. The burglars apparently tried to breach the front door of the store, but eventually gained access by a side door where donations are usually dropped off. Anyone with information is asked to call the Guam Police Department or Crime Stoppers. Also, a fire that broke out on the second floor of a Barragata house on Christmas night has displaced a family with 11 children. The fire believed to have started in a bedroom of the Teedson home on Sunset Boulevard. Barragata Mayor June Bloss says that the Red Cross is helping to provide them with emergency shelter, but they are in need of some clothing and essential items. Anyone who would like to make a donation can do so at the Barragata Mayor's office anytime today. And an additional 13 child sex abuse lawsuits against the Boy Scouts of America have been settled and approved by the District Court of Guam. Attorney Michael Berman negotiated settlements for 57 of his clients' cases against the Scouts organization. Berman's clients still have pending claims against the Archdiocese of Agana. Those lawsuits are pending the church's bankruptcy action. And those are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Here now is Chris with your weather.
Thanks a lot, Mana. Expect lots of sunshine and a slight chance of showers. Winds will increase through the weekend, becoming breezy on Sunday. There is an alert out, a high risk of rip currents through 7 a.m. next Thursday. That's from now until next Thursday, so be very careful on east-facing reefs for those rip currents. Pretty much just stay out of the water on the east side, I would think, unless you really are experienced. Forecast is partly cloudy with isolated showers through the weekend. East and northeast winds 10 to 15 miles per hour today, becoming 15 to 20 miles per hour Saturday, and breezy on Sunday at 20 to 25 miles per hour. Highs near 88, lows around 77. The sun rose this morning at 6:41. Many of you people probably sleeping in a little more because it's darker longer. And sunset will be at 6:01 p.m. And now for the expanded weather view. Not sure if we have our radar, but
I do.
we
I got it
certainly
working.
have Duke Sky Tucker.
Yeah, I figured it out last hour. Let's pop the radar up there for our Facebook Live
Roger
audience. As you can see, got those showers passing down to the south of us. Just real isolated stuff out there. We're kind of in a transition phase right now between the last surges that we've been enjoying for the past week and the new shear line in surge that's coming in later on this weekend. So for right now, we just expect these kinds of showers to kind of come through and just maybe dump a little rain on us every now and then. It'll be very light showers, though, and they'll move through fairly quickly. Nothing widespread. Looking at the satellite right now, let's go ahead and actually get you to the satellite. Let's put Guam and the pointer there. You can see those mottled clouds. That just shows the trade wind disturbances and trade winds that are coming on and flowing through. Got a nice easterly breeze right now. You look up at the upper left corner up there, and you can see that bunch of clouds. That is a cold front that is going to slowly keep making its way to the east. It will kind of wash itself out north of us, but we'll get some of that energy that'll push through here on Sunday as the shear line that I've been talking about. Of course, we know when the shear lines come through, we get a few clouds. Sometimes we'll get some showers, although we're not expecting too much from this one. What we do see always, though, is the winds. We'll pick right back up and we get those trade winds working again. And that's what's going to happen on Sunday. So today, 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tomorrow, about 15 to 20. Then on Sunday, boom, it's going to kick in 20 to 25. Probably see some gusts up around 30 or so. That's certainly not out of the question. So going to be a windy weekend, but the weather's going to be just delightful.
So grill marks with sand in your face on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Sandpaper grill marks.
It's okay. It's 8:14 in the morning, and that's news and weather on point.
At the mall, as you enjoy your shopping, dining, or entertainment, you could also win 3 great cars from Atkins Kroll and thousands of prizes in Micronesia Mall's Cars, Prizes, and Getaways game. Present your mall receipts and have a chance to win the renowned performance Chevrolet Camaro, the unapologetic rugged Toyota 4Runner, or the head-turning Lexus ES350 Luxury. Getaways to Manila, courtesy of Philippine Airlines, plus prizes from Foot Locker and Burger King. The more you shop, the more chance to win in Micronesia Mall's Cars, Prizes, and Getaways game.
The Ray Gibson Show brought to you in part by American Medical Center, accepting Medicare, Aetna, and new patients. Call 647-8262 for more information. Also brought to you in part by American President Lines, a global presence with a local home. Take Care offers proven wellness and fitness programs to encourage individuals and families to live a healthy, balanced lifestyle through preventive care, being active, eating right, relaxing, unwinding, and being socially connected. And finally, the show brought to you by Wendy's. And you know, for just $5, you can get 2 of your faves at Wendy's. Just the deal you're looking for. Introducing Wendy's 2 for $5. And it's a win-win for everybody. You can get a Dave's single, spicy chicken sandwich, or 10-piece nuggets. That's right. Pick any 2 of those for just $5. It's hands down the best value on Guam. Stop on by and get your 2 for $5 deal today at Wendy's.
Morning talk that matters. It's the Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Half a day and welcome back to The Point. I'm Chris Duenas, sitting in for Ray Gibson. I was telling Mana earlier, I think my rust is getting shaken off a little bit. I'm feeling the groove.
Yeah,
here,
but
Michael.
you've left rust all over the floor, bro.
Yeah, I did. I'll sweep it before I split. Hey, so you know what? I got to get back to our Facebook folks. I know I haven't been ignoring you. I've been watching it. It got a little, the infrastructure got a little tight there, but I know Thomas Barcinas earlier said half a day primo, Tom. I have to start also with an apology. Candy Newton Guzman. I said Cindy. Sorry, Candy. I know you're Candy. And Candy had a very, very wishful comment for our good friend Ray Gibson.
What was that?
Wishing him a happy ending new year.
Oh,
Candy,
Lord.
little
Candy.
Frisky today, and she said, and many more.
And many more.
And she said, and many more, Michael. So anyways.
Ew. That's my brother. Ew.
I know Pam Duvall said loves, hugs, Candy, Shelly, Denise, Mana, and Kena. Oh my gosh. I know earlier she said Chris too. And Bennett.
And Chris.
Bennett Duenas said watching. Earlier, Bennett Duenas also said half a day to Chris. And so, you know, I got a comment here that I want to read from Rudy Magallanes. I know that he says, hey, Chris, I have a weird thing happen to me twice so far. Some of my mail since before Christmas has been returned to sender. What I mean, the people in the mainland that are sending me letters or packages has been returned back to them. What the heck? And so Rudy goes on to say, how I found out was because the people sending me letters and packages sent me an email or called me saying, did I move? LOL. So I don't know. Do we ever call the postmaster?
Well, yeah, she actually is a regular listener of ours, Tammy. And I don't know. We'll reach out to her somehow.
Yeah, let's reach out to
Or maybe
Tammy.
she's listening. Call us, Tammy.
Tammy, give us a call, 888-8255. Hey, I actually got that down.
You did. Got
I
it
used
right.
to mess that up.
Good job.
Me and Ray, sometimes I think we just go the 8s all the way.
Well, maybe
right?
because of the all of the busy, all of the packages coming in the busy holiday
It
season.
could be.
It might have just gotten mixed up in some of the bunch.
It could be, but return to sender. If you were expecting any high-end jewelry or computer, Rudy, I think it came to me. No, just kidding.
Let me give you my address.
So what is our friendly postmaster? What is her name?
What is
Tammy
Tammy's-
Shannon.
Tammy Shannon. All right. Well, Tammy, if you're listening, I know it's the B team right now. It's just Chris. But if you're listening and you have a chance to give us a call, or maybe we'll give you a ring today or maybe Monday to
Never
find out.
just Chris. You were
Oh, come on. I like being just Chris.
all right.
I like being just Chris until I have a box full of fish. Then I'm Chris. Lately it's
Fried
been a
fish?
little slow, though. No, when I go fishing.
Oh,
Yeah. When I come in and I can put up all the flags, I'm Chris. When I come in and there's only 2 fish in the box, I'm just going around the corner saying, I got enough for dinner.
don't show anyone.
Don't show anyone. But so anyways, yeah, that's just a concern, that's been brought up by Rudy. And yeah, I mean, that is a concern if packages are being returned and like you said, Mona, it could be the fact that there's just a lot of volume, or I don't know, Rudy, maybe we'll have to make sure that all the address marks are right. I'm sure they are, but that's a great concern, Rudy, and we've passed it on, and we might make a call. So thanks for your thoughtful comment here, and thanks for all the Facebookers. Sorry for the first hour, but we're glad you're here. I think it was Denise Legaspi who said, "I'm getting withdrawals. Where's the point?" Sabine Chargoloff is with us, and as well as Al Batista, Dominic Uggan, and we just have the whole crew here. Our good friend Shelly Gibson, who refers to my undergarment sometimes as panties. Have a day, Shelly. How you doing? No, I got my boxers on today, Shelly. So anyways, we love interacting with our Facebook family, and thank you for joining us, and thank you everyone for joining us, really. We've spent a lot of the day going over, the issues with the settlement agreement, Chamorro Land Trust agreement, and am one who's quite excited that the settlement agreement is in. Yeah, and so I'm thinking that as I mentioned earlier, a lot of our people are eligible. There's currently 3,000 that have already been issued. There's thousands on the waiting list, and this really will go a long way in solving our affordable housing issues on Guam, and we all know those issues. And so I'm glad we're gonna have a lot more time for that, probably going through the balance of the hour, up to after my good friend Mana leaves me and relegates me to the last half hour of the show. But fun working with you today. I'm gonna enjoy the next 4 days after this.
Oh, awesome! It's been awesome.
But right now,
But my weekend starts in.
You're the best.
10 minutes.
Mine too. Right now we got sports with Michael.
Yeah, you and we're going to try to kick sports around a little bit. Now, we're talking about this run, so some local sports first, and then we'll get to the NFL Pick'ems. Got an interesting deal going on with the Pick'ems and how it will have ramifications for the playoff picture. But got a run going on. This is tomorrow. Starts at the Teton Baseball Field. Showtime 5 a.m., go time 6 a.m. It's a Christmas in Paradise 5K. 2K run now. Leah's Fabulous Productions is throwing this out there. If you haven't registered already, you might be able to still register at eventbrite.com or go over to Hornet Sports Guam. It's $10 for early registration. It might be too late for that, though, but check with them. Otherwise, tomorrow you can register for $15 and a group of 4 registers for $35. A grand prize drawing is a round-trip airfare to Manila. And the purpose of the event, they're going to help defray the cost of the expenditures of the 5 delegates who are going to represent Guam at the Little and Teen Glam International 2020 pageant in Manila.
Nice.
That happens in January on the 5th and through the 12th. A portion of the proceeds also donated to the Catholic Social Services of Guam. Funds donated will go towards helping the elderly, disabled, abused, and homeless. The first 200 registered runners get an additional entry form for the raffle, and first 200 finishers get a T-shirt. And a school with the largest group, pre-registered, can win up to $500, but you got to have a minimum of 50 registrations to qualify for that. So check that out, the Christmas in Paradise 5K and 2K run tomorrow at the Tidzin Baseball Field. Showtime, 5 o'clock.
Outstanding. I tell you, these 5Ks, all of them that I've seen go towards great causes. Folks, let's see if we can get out there tomorrow morning and support the cause.
There you go. There you go.
So is there anything in football other than two Pick'ems.
Yeah, well, we've got a lot going on now. We've got a full slate of games up this week, and this is week 17, the final week of the season. And then we've got some leaders in the Pick'ems, and I'll go over that in just a moment. Let's see here. Looking at the standings as we go into our final week. Downset What the What leads with 160 correct picks. Niners for life right behind him at 159. Then you got Ray there at 158, but he can't win. White Flower Dude, that's Rico Blancaflor at 156, as well as Nate. He's at 156. And then OBJY, that's Dennis Ventura. He brings up the rear there with 155. BBLRB Chub, you're down to 153 there, and you still have a chance along with multiple scoregasms, but it looks right now like Downset What the What would have to have a colossal collapse this week in order to lose that grand prize. And, of course, the grand prize is going to be the winner's choice of the phone from the GTA. So we'll see how that works. Got some pretty good games on the slates today, or I should say on the slate today, but they're actually all being played on Monday. All of the games are on Sunday. This is to allow all the teams to get adequate rest as they go into the playoffs next weekend. Interesting playoff scenarios, and we'll talk a little bit about how some of these games can actually shape the remainder of the playoff scenario.
Sure.
Got the Jets at the Bills. Bills are having a pretty good year this year. They're actually in the playoffs.
Go Bills.
They're looking to possibly enhance their position and could do so depending on the outcome of the Texans-Titans game as well. If the Texans were to lose and the Bills were to win, the Bills would get the number 3 seed, and that's kind of a big deal.
Sure.
But if the Texans wind up winning, and then the Bills lose or tie, then the Texans get that 3 seed. But I picked the Bills to win that game. I think they're just that much better.
I think
than
that's
the
a
Jets.
good pick.
Yeah, Jets could play spoiler, though. Probably the worst game of the weekend, maybe, would be Cleveland and Cincinnati. Cleveland's in Cincinnati. Cincinnati, just a horrible team. They've already secured the number 1 draft pick for next year, and they were probably going to lose this game, too.
So what's going to happen in the NFC East? What is that scenario?
Yeah, see, that's the weird thing, and we'll get to that in just a moment because that can go a lot of different ways. We got going through the games. Packers at the Lions. I'm taking the Packers. We got the Chargers at Kansas City. The Chargers should move back to San Diego. They have no business being in L.A., and they just keep losing
Agree with
games
you on that one.
in the most heartbreaking way. Chiefs are probably going to win that game. They really need to in order to maintain their position in the.
Are they going to sit Mahomes, though, you think?
I don't think so. Not in this case, because
this
again,
game,
you have a lot of teams vying for a playoff position. And if the Chiefs could win, and let's say the Bills and Texans both lose, that gives the Chiefs the home field advantage at least for the first round of their playoffs. So that's why it's really kind of important. So the teams actually are going out there to play are the only team that could probably sit on it would be the Ravens.
Yeah, they are
the Ravens pretty much.
dangerous this year.
They pretty much have the number 1 seed locked up. They're 13-2 right now. So even if they lose this week, they'll be 13-3.
They are playing some outstanding football. That to me is the team to beat.
I've said it several times on the show here, and it just seemed to me, and since about week 6, it just seems like that they're a team of destiny. And you sometimes have those teams. And this Ravens team, I want to say it was back in what year? Well, the last time they won a Super Bowl, they just kind of came out of nowhere. Yeah, they just kind of came out of nowhere and won the thing.
Yep.
And they seem to be kind of on that path again. But we'll see, because there's a lot of good teams actually.
They are tough.
In the AFC. NFC, well, not so much. Let's go on. We got Chicago at Minnesota. Got to take the Vikings there. Minnesota's still playing for something. They're trying to look to increase their seeding as well. Miami at New England, that's a no-brainer. Dolphins not playing for anything. I think New England will start their starters just to try to get some momentum going into the playoffs because they haven't really done so well the second half of this season. They've hit a few bumps. Falcons at the Buccaneers. Got to take the Falcons there. I just think their offense is much better. Saints at the Panthers. Again, go Saints. Who dat? And
Boy,
the Saints,
man, they're playing tough this year.
they really
too.
are. And here's the scenario now. We get into the NFC we were talking about earlier. You have three teams right now tied for the number one seed. You've got the 49ers, Packers, and Saints all at 12-3. Then you've got the Seahawks right behind them at 11-4. And then the Vikings just behind them at 10-5. The lone outlier here are the Eagles and the Cowboys.
Correct.
Both teams just horrible. That whole
Terrible.
entire NFC East division just a mess.
It is.
Eagles right now holding the advantage. 8-7 is their record. Cowboys are 7-8. But the Eagles must win this week to make it. If the Eagles do not win, it doesn't matter what Dallas does.
So if they win, it's because it's a conference game, right? So even if they're tied, they won more conference games, which would give them the edge?
There is the tiebreaker, I believe, is between the Eagles and Cowboys, the teams themselves.
Right.
And so at this point right now, the Eagles must win this game this week. And Dallas, it doesn't matter what they do. I mean, they want to win. At least they could make the playoffs with a 500 record. But the truth is, we could see a playoff team, a division winner from the NFC East with a 7-9 record.
My favorite game to watch this Monday is going to be San Francisco and Seattle.
Yeah, that's going to be quite a game, and we'll get to that one in just a second because there's a lot of different schools of thought as to what's going on there. And Seattle is bringing back beast mode for this game. He is coming back. So
He's been out. Is he going to pass a drug test?
Well, I don't know. I know you'd have to wonder about his conditioning as well. But my understanding is he's been staying active in football circles, doing coaching and other things, and so it appears that he's in pretty good shape to come on back and make a difference. We'll see how that goes.
That was bad on me.
That's all right. That's all right. Talking about the Cowboys, they've got an easy game this week, the Redskins. But anytime the Cowboys and Redskins play, you never know what's going to happen. So we'll see. I picked the Cowboys. Oakland going to Denver. Got to pick the Broncos there. Hard to go to Mile High and win, but the Raiders possibly could do it. Cardinals at the Rams. I don't really know who to go with here. I'm probably going to, I'm going to go ahead and shift that pick. I'm going with the Rams on this one. Neither team is playing for anything important, but I just think the Rams are the better team, and they may be looking to prove something as they end the season and look ahead to next year.
Yeah, Rams got feisty after getting wiped out the week before.
Yeah. So and you know, a lot of people don't remember is that they actually were the NFC Super Bowl representatives last year. So that for them to miss this year, you know, they got to be wearing a little egg on their face. Probably look to go out with a bang here, and the Cardinals would be the team to do it. Wrapping up these picks here: Eagles at the Giants, got the Eagles. Colts at the Jaguars, taking the Colts. Steelers at the Ravens. This is an important game for the Steelers, but I don't think they've got enough to beat the Ravens. Even if the Ravens were to sit starters, I think they're too good of a team, top and bottom. You know, they do have depth, and I'm going to pick the Ravens in this one, but it could be close, and Pittsburgh could win because, again, even if the Ravens lose, they stand nothing really to lose because they already beat the Patriots in the tiebreaker, so the Ravens have locked up the number one pick no matter what. Titans at the Texans, taking the Texans. The Titans are, they are going to probably make the playoffs, but they're still playing for the chances because they're dealing with the Steelers and Raiders on their heels as far as the other teams that could possibly make the playoffs. Titans need the game. And the Texans, frankly, need to hold on to their playoff seeding as well and wrap that division up completely and solidly so they can have perhaps a home game to start the playoffs. Finally, 49ers, Seahawks, we were talking about that. We got beast mode back for the Seahawks. The 49ers are still on their roll. Actually, 49ers just one game better than the Seahawks, so pretty much a toss-up game. It's in Seattle. That's who I'm picking.
I'm going 49ers.
There you go. That's cool.
And it actually was my good friend who was the one who said that. We were having a chat after singing in the choir, and he said, he goes, "Did you hear Beast Mode's coming back?" And he lives in San Francisco and lives and breathes it. And I said, "I heard a little bit about that." He goes, "I don't think he's going to pass a drug test." I was like, "Man, brother, that's rough."
You know, I think him coming back will be enough of a lift for the team.
That was my thought.
And I think it'll be enough to put them over the top here. You know, both teams, quite frankly, know they're making the playoffs. It's just a matter of what seed they finish in and can get there. So neither team really playing for anything other than pride, which can go a long way in football.
Absolutely.
But this one in Seattle, beast mode's back, and I just got to think their team's going to be just a little more inspired.
I
So we'll see how
thought
that
for
goes.
sure, and we were kind of talking about this, depending on what kind of football shape he's in. If beast mode just touches that ball 5 times, I think the bottom line is that inspiration. Let's go, and maybe even a chance at redemption. Maybe they'll be on the 1-yard line and actually run it this time.
Well,
Bang! Hey, I got to take care of Pam Duvall because she said hugs and kisses to me. So Pam Duvall said, my Vikings have a chance. Pam, you're right. Vikings actually
no, they do. Yeah.
They're strong this year.
You're so easy. All she has to do is say hugs and kisses, and you're like sold.
Hey, man. I was sitting here being lonely and left out, and she just said, oh, no, I ain't doing that to Chris. She came on and said hugs and kisses.
That was the Chris Duenas equivalent to squirrel.
Hugs and kisses.
Yay. All right, well, that's Sports with Mike, and we'll wrap it up.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
Are you ready for some football? The Ray Gibson Show has got your fix every day with the Points NFL Pick'em contest. Get the latest updates as we check out the past week's performance and break down the upcoming action. Get your game on by calling the hotline at 888-TALK or sound off on Facebook Live at thepoint.gu. League members get a chance to win some awesome weekly prizes with a shot for your choice of a new GTA phone. The NFL Pick'em contest is brought to you by Current Guam with special thanks to GTA.
Welcome back. This is Chris Duenas sitting in for the vacationing Ray Gibson. And actually, since we hit 8:34, I thought I was going to stay on time, and this was going to Mana. So, Mana, I know I wanted to make this announcement while we were doing sports. I saw our call light lining up. Caller, if you're still listening, got a lot of time after this newscast. So call back and whatever's on your mind. We'll have a nice conversation on the point. But I think I'm just going to go shift over to Mana and have her get her news report done.
Oh,
and
geez, hold on, because I'm not ready.
You're not ready?
Wait, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready now.
She's ready. She's ready. She gets to get out of here after this. So that's why I'm trying to make sure I keep her on time. It's 8:34, and here's news with Mana.
The 2 former Department of Corrections officers were spared jail time. Jeffrey Limo and Jerry Hokok, each given suspended sentences in connection with a major contraband scheme at DOC. Limo and Hokok were among a number of prison officials who've pleaded guilty for their part in the prison contraband case. Inmate Bruno Simmons, also tied to the same case, sentenced to 3 years in prison with credit for time already served. The search for a killer wanted in connection with a deadly shooting in Manila earlier this month is ongoing. The police chief couldn't say if investigators have located a possible suspect, but he says it is under investigation. 41-year-old Juan Uggan was found dead on the driveway of his home in the early morning hours of December 11th. Neighbors reported seeing a man drive off on a moped just after hearing a gunshot. And police are investigating the break-in at the Salvation Army thrift store in Tamuning. Roughly $5,000 in donated items were stolen when burglars busted through a side door sometime on Christmas Day. Anyone with information should call the Guam Police Department or Crime Stoppers. Also, a Barragata family left homeless after a fire that broke out at their home in Teedzin on Christmas. The family with 11 children are being helped by Red Cross, but they are in need of some clothes and other essentials. The Barragata Mayor's Office is calling out the public for some assistance. They're collecting goods. Donations can be dropped off anytime today. And those are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. For more on these stories, you can pick up a copy of the paper, or you can log on to their website at postguam.com.
News time on the point is 8:36.
And that's iConnect time, something to make your mouth water, too. Swing by the nearest iConnect. Ask them about great rates and prices on mobile and internet plans for 2019.
Ever notice how that one perfect holiday gift is just out of reach? Or how sales on the stuff you want all come at the same time? This season, plan ahead with a holiday loan from First Hawaiian Bank. Now you can afford to be nice without being naughty. For more details, visit FHB.com or any branch to apply. Additional restrictions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
The Ray Gibson Show brought to you in part by Mescla Chamorro Fusion Bistro. By the way, thanks Mescla for sponsoring our Eclipse party last night. Stop by there and pick up their seafood lau lau. They got a medley of salmon, shrimp, scallops, and fresh spinach wrapped in tea leaves, steamed to order, topped with soy butter sauce and your choice of starch. Visit Mescla in Hagåtña and now in Tumon at the Grand Plaza Hotel. For reservations, call them up. It's 969-2652.
In life, we all have the ability to make a difference, to make an impact on someone's life. As we look around us, time never stops, but we are filled with endless moments of gratitude. The art of giving is incorporated in so many different ways. At Guam Gift Baskets, we want to be able to express your gratitude and love to those who you care about. Show your appreciation with a gift made with love this holiday season. Visit our website at guamgiftbaskets.com. See the smiles, touch their hearts, feel the experience.
Half a day and welcome to Right Now Traffic. Once again, it is a holiday Friday. Not a holiday Friday, but it certainly is the holiday season Friday. I'm not the governor. Don't panic. It's not going to cost $1 million to the government to go up. Anyways, going a little bit further outside of the central zone here, we've got a little bit of buildup over there on 2B and 3A back road. And that's probably due to some of the construction over in that area. In Tamuning, it looks like by the ITC intersection, there's a little bit of traffic there. Looks like the turn on Route 10, coming from Route 4 over there, maybe going towards Father Dueñas. A little bit busy there. And in Assen, for some reason, on Route 1, it looks like going into the port, there's just a little bit of traffic heading in there. Maybe Christmas presents to be delivered or returned to the port. We don't want none of that. And that's traffic on the point.
Hey, what's that?
A Subway Big Hot Pastrami?
My Big Hot Pastrami?
No, my Subway Big Hot Pastrami. Get your own.
Get your own Subway Big Hot Pastrami. Tender, juicy beef on freshly baked sunflower crunch bread, topped with pickles and mustard. Finish off your meal with all new seasoned potato wedges, baked to perfection right in the restaurant. Both available for limited time only. Subway, make it what you want.
Welcome back to The Point. I'm Chris Dueñas, sitting in for the vacationing Ray Gibson. Have a great time and a Happy New Year, Ray Gibson. Nice jazzy Christmas tunes there, my friend Michael. And, we're going to go back to Facebook just here for a little bit. Our good friend Margaret Bloss. You know Margaret. You remember Margaret. Buena Senator Chris.
Yes, hi, Margaret.
Yeah, and Senator Mana. Looking forward to the new year 2020. Happy New Year and be safe. Listening from Arizona. Thank you, Margaret. Senator Mana says thank you and Hafaday. I think CJ Bam's messing with you, Mana, and thanks for staying with me and helping me out here. CJ Bam says, I want to know Mana's opinion on the Green Bay Packers.
I know nothing about that.
And I knew that was going to be your answer. Michael,
yeah.
Can you believe that? CJ Bam's
How about them Packers?
How about them Packers? See, there you go. How about them Packers?
That's
the answer, right?
Yeah, get you some cheese.
Of my football conversation.
You know, that just a little bit extended play on that. The Packers actually looking pretty tough too.
Yeah, they are.
And it's funny, Mike, because they're like the team that I think they're almost complaining a little bit, or maybe they're like being quietly not recognized, but they're the team that hasn't gotten a lot of talk in terms of the sports shows and watching ESPN and some of the other sports shows. And I tell you, they're dangerous when they get hot.
They really are. I mean, you can never count Rodgers out.
Exactly.
I think Lamar Jackson and the Ravens have just taken so much of the spotlight because of the year he's having in particular. Yeah. Seriously, Lamar Jackson is having a year unlike any quarterback ever, and that includes Mike Vick, who kind of set that standard many years ago with his play on the field. Jackson has shattered his records, and you wonder if the kid can keep going like that for years and years, or if defenses are going to figure him out. And they never quite figured Mike Vick out. Mike actually wound up being his own worst enemy in that way, and then lost his best years in prison. We'll see if Lamar can do what Mike could not, and stay in the league and actually make that system work and see where it takes him.
Well, Lamar took the mantle from Mahomes last year, because Mahomes was just smashing it last year too. Had a few injuries and some of that going on, but Lamar just really looks, I know he had a little bit of a strain on the knee from what I understand, but other than that, the guy just looks bulletproof. I mean,
it's interesting that you bring up Mahomes, because last year, Mahomes did it mostly with his arm. Now, he would scramble, and he was dangerous when he did get out of the pocket, but he was all about throwing those touchdowns. Oh, wow. I mean, what did he threw 50-something touchdowns
Side
last year? I
arm,
forget. Yeah. And
off
he just
balance.
Well, and he do the no-look
Front
passes
foot,
and all this
rear
kind of
foot.
thing. Yeah. Jackson, on the other hand, brings this whole new level of athleticism to the position.
No idea what you guys
in
are
terms of
talking
actually
about.
being able to throw the ball, run the offense, and run when he gets in trouble. And now they've started working plays into their offense for the Ravens, where design rollouts, design runs, options, these kinds of things. That's what you've got to have with a player with Lamar Jackson's talent and caliber. I mean,
That's
you
what
just
I was
got
going
to
to
see.
say.
See, Mana's got it.
Well, you were nodding your head. I knew you were agreeing.
Mana, I'm going to say this. There's no
I feel like I just stepped into the men's back locker room.
I'm going to say this.
Gosh,
There's no
I have
question
no
about
clue.
one thing.
I don't belong here.
Mana in football, she would be an amazing cheerleader.
I was a cheerleader in high school.
See? I knew it.
I see Mana more as a coach.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm a water girl.
Keep you in line.
Thanks, guys.
I've been in some meetings where I've seen Coach Mana.
Yeah, see, keep you in line.
Shelly gets most of the attention, but Mana can throw a punch too,
No.
in a nice way.
No.
Coach Mana. That's what we're gonna do. That's it.
Mana,
You're
that's it.
officially named during the sports
No,
segment. You're Coach
offline
Mana.
we were talking about some of our interactions when we served together, and when we caucus together, it's kind of like no holds barred. We
Sure.
can talk about anything,
That's the
and
way
it's
it's supposed to be.
it's confidential in our closed doors, right? So we would just throw ideas back and forth, and our conversations would get heated sometimes, and we've had a few scuffles once in a while, but we
Sure.
always come out of the room like best of friends.
Absolutely.
Never fazed by what was said or any of the exchange. So it was always very fruitful.
And see, this is precisely the reason why I cannot be in politics.
And this
Because
is
I would-
precisely why Chris Duenas needs to run for office.
Oh, no,
again
Man. I'm supporting
in
you. I'm
2020.
supporting you. I'll be your treasurer.
Oh, thanks.
But, I tell you, I do have a story on this, because Mana and I did talk offline on this, and I don't want to name my cousin because he's currently a public official, but a good, a close cousin of mine, we were at a function a couple of weeks ago, and, he said to me, he goes, Bobek, I don't understand how you ever did that. He goes, I thought about running for senator before, but I don't know, it's not me. But, he's doing some other form of public service, but he goes, I don't know what it is now. But he goes, even during the time that you served and before that, it just doesn't seem like it's as kind of heated and personal now. And that's what I said to him. I said, my observation is some of this back and forth, a lot of the really overwhelming personal feelings are kind of getting in there. And I know what you said, Mike, is that's why you couldn't do it. I don't know if I believe that. I've talked to you offline. I think you got a lot of great ideas and a great mind for service. The thing of it is that you do have to do that, though. I mean, that's really the way I was taught. My father, when I was a young boy, and even my uncles who were in public service, your uncle, Senator Underwood, and
My grandfather
Jim,
also.
and your grandfather. And the thing is that as kids, that's what they always taught us. Don't think that when we're battling on the floor and everything else that we don't like each other, because after that we go to each other's fiesta, we go to each other's parties and stuff, and you do have to let that part go, because the vigorous debate is absolutely what's needed and required to produce good legislation. But after that, you need to let it go, and you can't carry it over, into the next bill. And there was times when, especially when we need the support. Mon and I were in the minority, and there's times when we just looked at each other and said, look, there's 6 of us, and thank God our caucus is going to help us, and we've got 2 friends on the other side. So, you can't afford to really draw the line, and I think that's some of the stuff we see now.
And this is something that was brought up, too, in our conversation a couple of weeks ago. We talked about the unity of the Republican Party, the minority. It's so important in trying to get legislation through. And, you have only your 6 individuals. And if you can't be united, then you guys are all kind of on your own. You're your own island. And I wish you the best of luck at trying to get anything through. And so this is where, I always I call out Will Castro because he's the minority leader. He needs to do a better job to unite his party so that they could get things through. And Senator Jim Moylan wouldn't have to have a scuffle every time he wants his bill up for a public hearing of all things.
You definitely gotta, and that's what I was saying with Ray the other day is, if anything else, you unite behind your, for this year, I've got my top 5 worst. I'll go into that, in a little bit, and we can discuss this and see if you agree or disagree. But if anything, that's how I felt in terms of being the loyal opposition. You can kick somebody in the teeth any time, but just to do it is not, in my opinion, the way to go. It's beat them with ideas. Beat them with a lot of the stuff that members of the minority, particularly Senator Moylan, are putting out there that really are game changers in terms of building our business. You were there at GIDM on it. You guys tried your best to make sure that you can do anything you could to help small businesses, be developed, to maintain the businesses that we have, and some of those things I have in my on my list today. Actually, I know that you work closely with GVB too. Jeju now has a new route to Korea, and that's very important. Those are the things we should be talking about. Bringing in more tourists. I believe it's 1.5 million this year. I think, and they say now that Japan is starting to roar back. They're starting to get more aggressive in terms of their seat capacity and the numbers coming to Guam. So it's very competitive between Korea and now they opened up a new route. So these are the things that I think we need to be talking about. Opportunities for our people, business opportunities, how businesses are expanding. Ray and I were talking because I come in the 9 o'clock hour and, you're already, off the clock and out doing other things. But Ray and I were talking about how we need to preserve the tourist attraction fund and make sure that fund really goes towards things like during our time floating of the hot bond, which those hot bonds went to build the museum. It's capital improvement that our people really can get behind because it enhances our tourism industry.
Right, and you want going back to what you were saying about the small businesses, you want to support the small businesses, and we always tout this buy local, buy local. Mm-hmm. We need to be able to support the businesses so that they don't have to jack up their prices so high. Exactly. We need to find a way so that the shipping is not such a huge cost for these businesses. And, this provides savings for, the people who consume these items, and they don't have to buy off island. They can buy locally and still be, able to afford some of those things that they're purchasing.
Absolutely. And so, it really is. And once again, thanks, Mons, for hanging out with me, going to the top of the hour. And because I think these things are important. And I enjoyed serving with you both in the legislature and in the administration, because I think you've demonstrated to me all the time that, you really cared about what you're doing and you cared about, I mentioned you on another show. Oh, no. No, because this, we're going to, pardon us, Mike, we're just going to do a little bit of this. We're
reminiscing. We haven't talked in a really long time.
That's right. Thank you, Michael.
Hey, come back here.
But, it's pretty funny because we're getting some great comments on this from Pam Duvall and some others in terms of, yes, we're family and it's a small island. We need to respect each other. One of the things that I was speaking about when you first introduced, I don't think it was your first bill or along with your first bills that you've introduced. And I scratched my head in the beginning because I thought, isn't this something that's just got to get done anyways? But when being from Molesso, having family down there, the bridge bill. And it was hilarious because in the beginning I was like, do we really need a bill for this? And I was being honest. I talked to you offline a little bit about it. And I remember the chairman at the time, because what we were talking about when your bill was being heard was, if it really comes down to it and it is these, slivers of land and others that are causing the issue, let's go to land condemnation. And boy, I think I got the riot act on that one. Oh, yeah, you do that, and it's going to get tied up in court. It's going to take 2 years. And where were we in the waning days of the Kawa Tenorio administration from your first term going? That's when we finally finished.
And even before that, it had spanned at least 4 years before that bill was introduced, that people were waiting for those bridges to be reconstructed.
Right.
And ultimately, I think it ended up being, 15 years before some action was taken so that those bridges down in the southern villages could be rebuilt. And my gosh, that's way too long. So, just for the sake of lighting a fire under the government agencies that need to take action, there's residents down there that traverse those roadways every single day, multiple times a day. And, they got to go to work, they got to go to school, and they're stuck in this traffic because it's just a single lane to get over those bridges. But now they're beautiful. Have you been down there? They're just beautiful.
I absolutely love it. I do. I've visited my good friends down there, the Champacos and the Cruises, and I've been, and I'll tell you, it is beautiful, and crazy long time coming. But anyways, we've got a friend here that's going to join us, Mana. And
I like friends.
I like friends too. Mark Cruz, half a day, CLTC.
Hi, hey Chris, hey Mana. So, talking about the CLTC, I just wanted to share a story that my dad told me recently about. Back in 1950, he was a small contractor, and he worked with this big construction company that was brought in after the war called Masdelco.
Okay.
And they brought in a lot of Filipino workers. And it wasn't H2 back then because I think at the time, right after the war, the Philippines was still U.S. nationals, so they could traverse between Guam and the Philippines, without any special visas or anything. And so his estimate was maybe they had close to at least 1,000 workers by 1950 after the war with everything on the rebuilding. And he remembers telling them that after the Organic Act was signed, he told him, he said, he got together with the boss over at Masdelco and all the guys that were working on his project and said, you guys have the day off tomorrow. You need to go and we're going to get a bus for you, and we're going to bus you all down because you guys are going to take the oath and you're now American citizens.
Wow.
So there were a lot of people other than the Chamorros that became American citizens because of that. So so we, everybody that was on Guam at the time, didn't matter what race you were, you qualified to become an American citizen, and a lot of the Filipino workers that were here, basically took advantage of it.
And so, Mark, if I'm right, I think also that was Sumay construction, and a lot of that other. I don't even know. It might have even been. I don't know if it was that far back, but the building of the Clipper Landing and that construction even in the APRA area.
Well, no, the Clipper Landing and everything was prior to the war.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all that area was built before the war. I mean, there was the ramp was there. I mean, if you've ever been down to the Back to Sumay events, the one last year, I've got to remember to make it. Yeah, the one last year was right where the Clipper Landing was. My dad could describe. You could look at the pictures, and he would describe. Okay, the little taxiway was here. There was a huge hangar over at this spot. He points out where our house used to be, my grandfather's house, and my great grandfather's house, and yeah, it's just something. It's a lot of history. If you're from Sumay, it's great to look back. If you're not from Sumay, it's great to understand exactly the way Guam was before the war.
Yeah, so that's what I was meaning. That area that was rebuilt, though, a lot of that stuff was in that area, and there was a lot of construction that was done in that place, right?
Yep. And Masdelco is actually where the southern side of Camp Covington and across the street where they have that whole area. That's why now still the old school people call it Masdelco because that's where their camp was, and they had all their workers living there.
Hey, Mark,
temporary barracks.
Brother Mark, Happy New Year! You've lit up the lines, and
Happy New Year.
And I certainly can't not take this guy before the top because he hosts Tall Tales, and I would be in trouble. So thanks a lot, Mark. I'm going to bring in Bob, all right?
Yeah, I'll be listening.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
Bye, Mana.
Bye, see you.
Half a day, Senator, Judge, Tall Tales.
Yeah, well, I'll give you a shot at Tall Tales anytime you call in. I'll put you at the head of the line, okay, Chris?
Hey, you're going to open up the Chris line?
He's been name dropping all morning.
Good call, Chris. Good call.
Go ahead, Bob.
So the Organic Act did not cause any person at Masdelco to become an American citizen. And first of all, the phenomenon of Filipinos being nationals of the United States ended on July 4th of 1946, when the Philippines became independent. So there were a lot of contract laborers brought over from the Philippines. Well, not contract, but alien laborers brought over, many of whom stayed at Mazdelco, which some of us old-timers still remember. But none of those people became citizens by virtue of the enactment of the Organic Act. Now, there is an interesting legal wrinkle that occurred at that time, and that is that the Immigration and Naturalization Service put out a worldwide rule called the presumption of lawful admission. And what that held was that many non-immigrant aliens who were in a legal status in the United States were presumed to have been admitted lawfully to the status of permanent resident. So if you are a permanent resident, you can stay in the United States, and under certain conditions you can leave and come back to the United States. And if you are a permanent resident for 5 years, you may naturalize and become citizens of the United States. But none of the alien laborers coming from the Philippines became citizens because of the enactment of the Organic Act.
So one thing I do want to ask you on that, Bob, it seems like we had a lot of, so what was the pathway to citizenship? Because we know many of them ended up becoming permanent residents, citizens.
That's what I just explained.
Right.
That, the Immigration and Naturalization Service, at just about the same time as the Organic Act passed, enacted a rule called the presumption of lawful admission.
Right. So, but
and that in effect converted non-immigrant aliens into permanent residents.
So my question, so I'm trying to follow why, why Mark wanted to make the point, though, was still those individuals became citizens that would follow that they could vote in a plebiscite and they could register.
No, that's just not correct.
You don't think so?
No,
it's not correct.
Because the rule of the new rule of presumption of lawful admission made those non-immigrants into immigrants, and they were permanent residents. And after 5 years as a permanent resident, a person can go through the naturalization procedure. But the so-called plebiscite vote was limited to those folks who became United States citizens solely by virtue of the enactment of the Organic Act.
I'm sure we're going to hear more of this on Tall Tales this afternoon. Interesting, fascinating, and great law lesson and history lesson for us, Bob. I got to wrap this up going to the top of the hour. Michael Israel, I'm sorry I stranded you. If you'd like to call us back on Monday, I don't think this subject is gonna go anywhere. We'd love to talk to you on Monday, Michael. Thanks a lot, Bob, and we'll see you on Tall Tales.
Okay, Chris. Goodbye.
Take care. And so that's going to finish it up for this Friday, the 27th.
We'll see you on Monday.
See you on Monday.
We'll talk about our New Year's plans.
Joke about our New Year's plans.
I don't have any.
Talk about our best, five worst, and Michael will keep us in line. He'll try. These kids over here, I don't know. They're messing the place up. Thanks for joining us this morning. This is Chris Duenas, Mona Silva Tyrone, and Mike on the point. Stay tuned for Bob Klitsky this afternoon.
And you're listening to KUSG.
On Twitter ahead of a Senate impeachment trial.
Describing her San Francisco district as filthy and one of the worst with homelessness and crime. He is also tweeting and retweeting about the impeachment process, asking why Speaker Pelosi can impeach without any Republican votes. The president's attention on impeachment comes as Senate leaders remain at an impasse over a Senate trial expected to begin when Congress returns in January. Democratic leader Chuck Schumer wants witnesses and documents subpoenaed.
Fox's Jared Halpern in Washington. We're learning more about the Christmas Day deaths of a mother and her two young children in Boston. Fox's Gernal Scott joins us live.
Rich, Erin Pascal and her two children, Allison and Andrew, were found near a parking garage. Suffolk County DA Rachel Rollins says it looks like a murder-suicide from one of the parking levels. She says they're looking into an incident at the victim's address just before they died.
We are in the process of detailing that. It is our understanding at this point there may have been a 911 call.
The garage, owned by Northeastern University, University has been the site of 2 other suicide cases this year. Rollins said as they investigate, she urges people who need it to seek suicide prevention to help avoid tragedies like this. Rich.
Gernal is scared for Japan today as the world watches North Korea.
Some Japanese citizens were jolted awake after midnight by an alert from a major Japanese news outlet warning about a missile launch from North Korea, which turned out to be a false alarm. The alert was retracted after 23 minutes, echoes of that missile warning in Hawaii 2 years ago that also proved false.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson at the Pentagon. Stock indexes ending the day in positive territory after the holiday break. The NASDAQ closing above 9,000 for the first time in history. America is listening to Fox News.
'Tis the season of wish lists, wreaths, and wrapping paper. Make this year a little more special by sprinkling the holidays with wonder. Apply today for a personal loan of up to $50,000 for as low as 4.75%.